My TBR has been growing at a rather alarming rate, so in this video we're going to make a TBR prompter and pick a book, so hopefully I can start making a dent in it. So we have some TBR prompts, which I found a bunch online and put them in this Word document. I'm gonna link the Notion page I made for it down below in case you guys want to make one too. And then I have this basket, which you might recall is full of rocks. So it's not the most ideal container, but it is the one we have currently. I would like to get an actual jar for this with a lid on top, mainly so my dog doesn't eat these. So I'm gonna start by cutting these up and then I'll fold them all up. We'll put them in our little basket thing and then we're going to go pick a book to start reading because my TBR is starting to stress me out. We've cut them all out. I'm gonna start folding them up and putting them in the basket. Our TBR jar basket is ready. As you can see, because there's so many rocks in here, it's kind of hard to mix the prompts around, so I'm just gonna kind of not look and grab one at random. I'm going to be picking from either the books I have on this shelf, which is all my physical TBR, or a couple books I have on my Kindle that I haven't read yet. So we're not buying any new books, we're reading the books we have. So I'm gonna pick. I'm kind of nervous. Let's see. Okay. Ooh, a book from your favorite genre. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that. I probably should have typed these a little bit bigger. Here's the thing though. I don't fully know what I would say my favorite genre is. Probably fantasy. I think we're gonna go with fantasy. Ooh. I have a couple fantasy options. We have, let's see. We have Kingdom of the Wicked, which is one that I've been very excited to read, so this is a high contender. We also have Caraval, which I'm also excited to read. I really want to read Once Upon a Broken Heart because I've heard such good things about that, so I wanted to read Caraval first because this takes place before that series. I honestly think those might be all the fantasy books I have. On my Kindle I have She Gets the Girl, which is a romance. Never Lie, which I'm kind of currently reading. It's a thriller by Frida McFadden. It's one that I just like open on my phone when I don't have anything to do. I also have the fine print on my Kindle. So I think these are the options. I think I'm gonna read Kingdom of the Wicked. I've been really excited to read this and I think I'm gonna love it. I love the concept in this that these 7 deadly sins are like personified. So I'll quickly tell you what it's about. Amelia and her twin sister Vittoria, who are witches that live secretly among humans, avoiding notice and persecution. One night, Vittoria misses dinner service at the family's renowned restaurant in Sicily. Amelia soon finds the body of her beloved twin, desecrated beyond belief. Devastated, Amelia sets out to find her sister's killer and seek vengeance at any cost, even if it means using dark magic that's been long forbidden. Then Amelia meets Wrath, one of the wicked, who are princes of hell she's been warned against in tales since she was a child. Wrath claims to be on Amelia's side, tasked by his master with solving a series of women's murders on the island. But when it comes to the wicked, nothing is as it seems. So I do have a feeling I'm going to get very addicted to this series, which is great. I just am gonna have to buy the next 2 books probably. But we'll see. I'm gonna do a reading vlog in this video. It's like kind of a bunch of different bookish ideas combined. So you guys will see what I think of this as I read it. So I think what I'm going to do now is walk over to Starbucks, pick up a drink, and then sit in the backyard and start reading this book. page 80 and chapter 11 of the book right now, and I thought I'd give you guys a little update. I've been reading for a couple hours on and off, and you get into the story pretty fast, which I like. The plot that's described on the back picks up pretty immediately, but I'm honestly unsure of how I feel about this so far. I mean, I'm not very far into it. I feel like there hasn't been that much world building, which is more of a personal preference thing. I think I like when fantasy has like descriptive world building because then it's a lot easier for me to picture, because there's certain scenes in this where something's happening and I just like can't really see it because I don't know the setting very well or like the rules of the magic in this world. Again, that's like personal preference. I would like more of that, but I know a lot of people don't love that aspect of fantasy, so then this might be a really good book for you. I also don't know how I feel about the writing style. It's not bad, and again, a lot of it is personal preference. It is, to me, very reminiscent of Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas, which like not the whole series, but like specifically the first book, where I feel like the writing felt a little bit kind of clunky, if that makes sense. I still read that whole series. I loved it, so that's not like a huge problem for me. It's just making it a little bit harder to get into it, I feel like. I also am not really connecting to the characters very much at all, but again, I'm only 80 pages in, and like we know on the back that our main character Amelia's sister is like brutally murdered, so when that happens it's like not a shock. You don't really feel anything. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm gonna keep reading. Oh, but I just met Wrath and I do like him. I finished the book. I read it really fast, faster than I expected to. I read about 2/3 of it yesterday and then a third of it today. And honestly, most of that was last night, because once I got past like the first 100 pages, I feel like it really picked up. So that being said, this is the most 3-star book that has ever 3-starred for me. Like, it is very average. I enjoyed it. I read it, but I feel like the world building like wasn't really there. It felt pretty lackluster. I couldn't really imagine it well. We have no idea what year this takes place in, let alone decade or even century. Like I could not tell you what century this is. Like 18th, 19th? It's old, I think. And I honestly didn't care that much about any of the characters. I found Amelia kind of annoying at times. It just felt like she just didn't think before she did things, and then she didn't learn from that either. So yeah, she felt very like immature and like she wasn't growing throughout the story, which was a bit frustrating to read. I did like Wrath. I think you have to go into this like expecting mostly just a romance story set in like a fantastical world, but without emphasis on the fantasy. In that aspect, it was like a fun enemies to lovers story, but in terms of like the fantasy elements, they're not super well fleshed out in this. That being said, I read it in like 24 hours. I didn't want to put it down, and I am definitely going to continue reading the series. So it is a strict 3 stars for me. I'm actually kind of excited to pick up the next one, because I think if you kind of lower your expectations a bit for the fantasy elements of this book, it's a decent book. If you're someone that doesn't love world building and fantasy as much, I think you might like this a lot. Personally, one of my favorite parts of fantasy books is the world building and the politics of the world and being able to picture how that plays out, and in this one it just didn't give me that. It kind of, the story is a little bit reminiscent to me of Sarah J Maas's House of Earth and Blood, I think, the first in the Crescent City series. Not to compare this book to every Sarah J Maas series out there, but the plot line of that is kind of similar, where it's like they're kind of solving a murder mystery that is connected to way bigger things at play, but we just don't get a lot of insight into that in this book. And it ends on kind of a cliffhanger, just leaving you with so many questions, which I guess is good because it will get you to read the second book. That's my thoughts on this book. I'm really glad that I finally read it. I am probably gonna get the next one in the next few days so I can read it. I'm literally falling off my bed right now because Man is taking up majority of it, but it's worth it for him. I'm really happy I finally made the TBR jar. It was really fun to pick a prompt and use that to pick my books. I like the prompt jar premise because then you still kind of get a say in what you're gonna read, because I am somewhat of a mood reader. So being able to pick a prompt and then have limitations but still have some choice was really nice. So I will probably continue doing these videos. And like I said earlier, if you want to make your own TBR jar, prompt jar, I'll link my Notion page for it down below so you can just print it out and make your own. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.